Hello. Hello everyone. How's it going? Is my volume alright? Hello. Let's see. Okay. Hello, I'm Just Ryder. Hello, Shutter. Hello, Mlam. Welcome back. How's everyone doing? How's it been since Tuesday? I just saw, I don't know if y'all saw. we got some new fan art from Ryder. Just I think it was yesterday or today, right? I'm not good at keeping up with social media, but I saw it today. It was so cool. And we also got our first Not Safe for Work fan art. So if you haven't checked that out, you can check out, I retweeted it on my Not Safe for Work Twitter account, in case y'all need help finding it. Feeling very nice. Today's been great. That's good. Remus Augustus. Hello. Welcome back. Hello. And it's about to get better. Let's hope so. So as you can see down here I put the website that we're going to be using for today's Learn and Play Go. So if you'd like to participate, feel free to open that up. You may need to make an account, I believe, in order to play. I'm not super familiar with this particular site. I tried messing around with it a little bit, but please bear with me as I work through learning to understand it myself as well. I don't have a concrete lesson plan or anything lined up. So bear with me for that too, and we'll see how it goes. Yes. In the worst case, maybe we can play through some tutorials by people who actually know what they're doing. But I'll take a crack at it first and see how much I can explain on my own. I have it opened up since it was announced. I have already made an account too. Nice. Well, everyone, it's time to go. That's right. Let's go. Let's go. I have some tea first. Anyone else drinking something nice today? Yesterday, I got boba milk tea for what feels like the first time in a very long time. I've had some boba recently, but not milk tea. It was very filling. Is water nice? Water is nice. I like water. Water's good for you. Water is always good. Alright. Let me see if I can get my own thingamabob up and running. Let's see. Boop. There we go. Y'all see that all right? This is my homepage, I guess. Yeah. This is me. I just made this account, so a little while ago, trying to prep for this stream, so. Okay. So, to get started, how shall we do this? I think... Oops. Oops, that was my fault. Let me get that window back. One moment, please. That's not right. Hold on. this is what I get. Small hint for y'all who are planning to use Streamlabs. Sometimes it does strange things. It likes to capture windows that are open, but not the ones. If you minimize it, sometimes it has problems. So you just gotta keep everything open. Okay, alright. So, I was thinking we could go about this two possible ways. Taking notes. So, I guess first things first, I should explain the basics of how this game works, right? But I want to get playing with all of you sooner rather than later. So I'm hoping that after explaining maybe a few basics by myself, we can try playing some practice games and we can kind of see how that goes. So, alright, so as an introduction, the game of Go is a board game. Oops, I did it again. Old habits die hard. Alright, one moment. I can do this. This is... Okay. I don't know why, but that worked. Okay. So, the game of Go is a board game that's been around for a very long time. What just happened? What's this? What's this? What's this? I got a notification. What's this? Whoops. Oh, is this one of you? Hello. Hello, chat. Wait, Accelerator. That sounds familiar. Is this... I'm trying to guess. Is this Ryder? I remember someone had a name like that on Twitch. Who could it be? Hello. You found me. Yes. So... Yes. Where was I? Oh, let's just look at here. I'll give you an idea of... Oops, that's not right. I'll give you an idea of what Go looks like. It's one of the other nulls. Shh. What other nulls? I don't know what you're talking about. It's only one null. Yeah, just one. Just one. But to give you all an idea, these are some games that are actually being actively played right now on this server. You can see. This is what the basic game looks like. You play on this grid, and you take turns putting down these black and white stones. Each side has a color, and you put them on the crosshairs like this. And that's the basic format of the game. The grid can come in basically any size, but the standard sizes are 9x9, 13x13, and 19x19. So what you see here is 19x19, which is the most standard for, say, competitive play. But maybe one of the most common for casual play is 9x9. In my opinion, it's a lot of fun because it makes the game nice and quick, so you can kind of go through a lot of rounds at a time. Whereas these big games, depending on how you play them, sometimes they can take days. There are even games called Correspondence Games, as you can see up here, which means that rather than playing it sitting down at one point, it's like you're expecting to play it over time, and you just come back and add in your move over time. So it's a game you can think really long about, I guess. But then there's also timed blitz games that you can play. I don't tend to play those because I'm not a big fan of time limits. I sent a friend request too. Please be my friend now. Sounds good. Okay, I don't know how this works. I don't have any friends. This is a friend request. Yes. Yes, accepted. I have friends. If anyone else wants to add me, this is me. 天使_now. Send me friend requests. Now likes to think carefully before making a move. Sometimes. By the way, if you're on this site and you want it to be dark, there's a dark theme. So yeah, I recommend clicking that. Also, I thought this site was really cool. Okay, this is kind of off topic, but I thought this site was really cool because I don't know if it says it here. Maybe it doesn't say it here, but if you go to about, this is a open source project. So you can go, you can go to GitHub, and that's where all their FAQ and documentation stuff is anyway. So so I thought that was pretty cool. It's the first time I've seen that. It's pretty cool. But yes, send me friend requests. Okay, so basically the goal of this game, you can kind of see, to try to make some of these boards make some more sense to you. The goal of the game is to use your colored stones to to basically enclose a territory. People like to say that chess is like a battle and Go is like a war. So rather than trying to move your pieces around strategically like in chess, when you play Go, your piece, when you put it down, that's where it stays permanently. And putting your stone down in a certain place gives you sort of control of an area. And what you want to do is control the most area in a way that you can protect it. And if you can protect an area, then that area is your territory, basically. Or if it's believed that you can protect an area. So to protect an area, you basically just have to enclose it, and not get any challenges to your enclosure. The other thing is, speaking of, in order to challenge someone's territory, sometimes what you have to do is capture some of their pieces. So once you put a piece down, you can't pick it back up again yourself. But someone else can come in and capture your piece. And by doing that, they can encroach on your territory. And depending on the rule set, those captured pieces may also contribute to their overall points at the end of the game. So points are scored based on territory, and I'm more familiar with the Japanese rule set, unfortunately, and I don't really know any of the other rule sets very well. But under the Japanese rule set, your points are your enclosed territory minus the captured pieces that the other player took from you. And that's the basics of the game. Let's see. How do you send a friend request? I don't know, actually. Ryder, how do you send a friend request? How long have you been playing for now? I have been playing for... how long have I been playing for? I'm not very good with keeping track of time. I'm very bad at keeping track of time, actually. So it's hard for me to say how long I've been playing. And I haven't really played seriously or anything, so I kind of played on and off for a while. I've been playing... let's see. And it's been a long time, so I don't know. If I were to give an estimate, I think I've been playing since, Monki can't do time. I've been playing since I started reading Hikaru no Go. That's a terrible way of putting it. Honestly, I don't really know. I've been playing for a long time. But I never played professionally. I've only played casually with friends. never been a part of like a club or anything. And it's been very on and off. There have been like long stretches of time, like years at a time, that I haven't played. Just because sometimes it's hard to find people to play with, and you can't play online, like we are going to. But honestly, my favorite is playing in person because the real Go boards. Maybe I can look this up real quick. Real Go boards, they're beautiful. They look like they're usually, you can see on this here. You can kind of see it's usually a wooden board. These fancy wooden boards. And the stones themselves, the white ones are made of shell, which is why if you look at these fancy drawings here, you can see some lines on it. That's because typically they're made of, mollusk shells, I guess, clamshell. And the black ones are made of slate, and they're both very pretty and very. Ooh, I got friend requests. Yes. Aha. What was I saying? Oh yes, they're made of shell and slate, the fancy ones. But I learned to play on like a cardboard board. You can even use printer paper and plastic pieces, so you don't have to be fancy. But when you got this nice stuff, like these are some nice boards, and these are the bowls that you would put the pieces in. So you can see that. The really fancy ones, they look like this. That's a solid piece of wood. And on the inside, they hollow it out a little bit so that when you place the ghost stone down, it makes this really satisfying click, clack. It's very nice. Oh yeah, you can see it kind of looks like this. Usually the bowls are wooden actually. This is interesting to me. I haven't seen the sort of this woven type. That's pretty cool. Oh yeah, you can see like this. It's a smaller board with plastic pieces. It works just fine. Oh yes, this is like one of the things I think I had at one point. Someone in my family had it, and I borrowed it from them. Just a plastic board with plastic pieces. Yeah. Alright. At Remus Augustus, on the 3 lines up top to the left, click them, and on the search bar, write 天使 now. That's me. 天使 now. Oh yes, that's me. And then add as friend. Oh, that's me. I can't do that because it's myself, but please feel free to add me. As a lot of you have already done. Okay, thanks. I just sent a request. Nice. Go ASMR hype. You know, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we can do that sometime. At one point, my family did get a pretty nice board. So if I can get access to that, maybe we can do some Go ASMR. I don't really understand ASMR because I haven't watched a lot of it myself, so I don't really know what's involved and what you're supposed to do. But I know it's about things that sound nice, and the Go board does sound very nice. Title: Clicky Clackies with Null. Yes, I like it. Okay, alright. ASMR isn't really my thing either. I just kind of joke about it, TBH. I see. ASMR, I always thought it was just a niche thing because it's like it refers to a reaction that people, like a physical reaction, a response that people have like instinctively or reflexively, I guess, right? To certain sounds. And so I always thought it was something that was only meant for people who had that, and that's not necessarily the majority of people. But it sounds like it got pretty popular with people in general. I guess it must be nice. People say in ASMR, the listener is supposed to feel a tingle, but not everyone can feel it, so it's not for everyone. Yeah, that's what I thought. I know people that are into it, but me personally, no matter what, I can't feel that tingle. I see. That makes sense. That makes sense. I'm not sure. I don't think I have it either, because I feel like it's one of those things that supposedly if you have it, it can get triggered just in everyday life, right? You feel it sometimes. And I don't think I've ever felt that. But very cool for people who do. I guess I feel like I always imagine it's like, have you guys had those like, have you ever felt those like head massagers? You know what I'm talking about? They look like little metal octopus spiders. And you put it on your head and you just move it up and down and it feels really weird. I always imagined that it would feel like that. Okay, alright. So, let me give you all an idea of what I mean when I talk about how the game works. They have this demo board thing. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I think this might work. I don't know what private means. Oh, I think that's whether or not it'll show up on my page. We'll put it private for now. I'm gonna do a normal 9x9 board, because that's a little bit easier, especially to learn on, because it's nice and small. These other board sizes, as you can see, are extreme or non-square or custom, but these are the 3 normal sizes, so I'll go with 9x9. 3 Pro. No, more like rank 30. Maybe I'll explain this a little bit actually. Oh, let me read chat first. I've had one of those. It either feels very nice or very tingly after a bit. Right? It's like, I'm not sure if it feels nice because it's like, the entire time. So this ranking system, I think is now used internationally, but it started from Japan, and so you can see that it has some similarities to the Japanese typical like scaling systems for things like martial arts and such. So basically there's Kyu and there's Dan. Now Dan you might have seen actually in martial arts, because when you're a professional, that's when you use the Dan ranks. So when you've reached basically what's considered professional level, which I think you have to like win a certain competitions or certain number of competitions usually, you get ranked in the Dan level. So you can get first Dan, second Dan, all the way up to, it looks like 9 Dan. Well, it looks like they have pro too, so that might be to distinguish professionals from people who have done rankings. That's my guess. Because the ranking doesn't necessarily mean you're a professional. It's just considered professional level, if that makes sense. And so Dan rankings go up, and the higher the Dan, the more powerful the player has proven themselves to be. Whereas Q is on the opposite side, and it's like the negative side of the scale. So below Q is below Dan is 1 Q, first Q, second Q, all the way down to typically about 30. 30 is considered like, I just started, I am the beginner, I have no idea what I'm doing. The cool thing about these rankings in Go as well is that there is a handicap system in Go, so that if you're playing it against someone who's a different level than you, and you know what rank they are generally, you can determine the handicap based on the difference in your ranking. So these rankings on these sites, generally each site kind of has his own ranking system within itself internally that they calculate based on when you play ranked games. And then there's official rankings by Go societies, I believe. And people generally, after you get the hang of it, you start to understand roughly about what rank you are. So then if you play ranked games online, you can kind of get an idea what rank you are, even though the rankings might be slightly different based on what server you're playing on, just because it's just a different subset of people, and they only calculate the rankings based on the people playing in that subset. Yeah, and Q rankings aren't super official anyway, so they're a little more fungible. Let's see. I want a compilation of every time Nal stopped mid-sentence for a decent. Whoops. I can't help myself. The tea is too good. It's too good. That sounds similar. Tekken also has the Dan Q rank system. Ah, makes sense, makes sense. Yeah, it's actually a very typical ranking system that they use in Japan. Similar to how you can think of in terms of martial arts, the idea of like black belt is very common across martial arts. So this sort of Q-dan system is very common. The temptation is too strong. It is. Alright, so we're just playing on a demo board, so this rank probably doesn't even really matter. It looks like it's just to sort of distinguish what I'm trying to demo. But I don't feel right saying 3 pro, so we're gonna go 30Q. I don't have a ranking anymore. On the old Go server that I used to play on, I had a ranking, but it's been so long now, I'm sure my ranking has dropped. So, I haven't played any ranked games on this server yet, but maybe at some point I can try that out and see where I end up. Or not. Ranked games are stressful. On the old game server I used to play on, you could only play ranked games on a 19x19 board. It sounds like on this server, I'm not sure, you might be able to play them on other sized boards, but I don't know. Alright, let's create this demo board. I don't need this anymore. Okay. Alright, y'all see that okay? It's hopefully visible. Typically the boards don't have this grid system actually, where you can see all the numbers and letters. I might get rid of that later, but for now it might be a little easier to have it just so we can have an easy way of referring to each of the points on the grid. I see. Nal was a grandmaster in the past. No. I was a decent amateur. I was an okay amateur. Not even good, just okay. Sasuga Nal. No. Grandmaster Nal. No. That's not. No, not quite. No. Alright, let me just start by giving you an idea of what I mean by territories. So for example, say Blackstones. So if you're familiar with chess, Western chess, you might be familiar with the idea that the player who plays first always takes the white pieces, and they're typically the less experienced player because going first gives you an advantage. The same is basically true in Go, except that instead of taking white, the first player takes black. You also have this thing up here you might notice. You don't have to worry about that too much right now, but it's called komi, and that's also to try to balance a little bit the advantage that the first player gets by getting to put down their piece first. And this advantage is even bigger in Go than it is in Western chess, because Go is all about territory. So the moment you place down a piece, it's basically you've established territory, right? And so that gives you a huge advantage. And so right now, the standard komi that people worked out that makes a game basically fair between black and white if you start out with 0 handicaps is this 6.5 for Japanese rule set. I think for other rule sets like Chinese rule set, it's more like 5.5. But that's because there's some differences. Like in Chinese rule sets, well, let's just get into territory first. Let's not get too complicated. That makes sense. Huh? It makes sense? That's good. That's good. I hope so. I'm a little well, we'll see. I have no idea. I've never taught Go before, so I'm hoping it makes sense. Kenma Kozume. Kenma Kozume. Have we met? Have we met? I'm sorry if we have met already, but I don't think I remember chatting with you before. So welcome. always good to have more people. Taking a break from volley to play Go, Kenma. Yeah, I think so. From the Doki Doki Live. I see. Wow, welcome. If you want to, anyone who's just getting here, we'll be playing on onlinego.com. So you can go there and create an account. And this is my account, 天使_now. And later we'll be playing a real game. But for now, we're just gonna explain some rules. First, Monika, Yuri, and Natsuki. Now, a representative from Nekoma High. Nekoma High now attracts all kinds. What's Nekoma High? It sounds like something I should know. Okay. Well, alright. Let's talk about territory. So territory is the space that you enclose, right? So, as a very basic example, I can put down all of these stones here. Now, in Japanese rule set, and I will just talk about Japanese rule set today because I don't want to get people too confused by bringing up other rule sets, but it's very interesting if you look into it yourself later. If you hear some differing things about the rules, it might be because people are using different rule sets. So you'll want to double check which rule set you're using. But basically, if you put all of these black stones here in this shape, you're enclosing this one crosshair right here, right? So that is your territory. And at the end of the game, if you continue to have these on the board like this, you will get to score 1 point for this territory. Yeah. Okay. How do I get rid of stones? Delete branch, copy branch. Draw. Can I erase? Can I just unclick? Oh wait, I probably need to go back. What's this? Place alphabetical. No, I don't want to place labels. It shows I know what I'm doing, right? Oh, maybe if I do this. Yeah, then I can undo all of this. Yeah. Okay. Nekoma High is the school Kenma Kozume plays for in the series Haikyuu. It's one of my favorites. I see. I've heard good things about Haikyuu. I like Kenma. I can relate to him a lot. Oh, I see. What kind of character is this Kenma? Oh yes. So other ways of enclosing territory, you don't necessarily have to be completely filled in on the corners here, because this still counts as territory. The way you can think of it is, these lines are very important actually, because it's connected here to these lines. That's how you enclose territory. So for example, since there's no diagonal line here, you don't have to put something there to enclose it. As a better example, perhaps, I wish I could just refresh this board. Can I refresh it somehow? What if I go all the way back? Yeah, that's good enough. So say I want to enclose this area, right? Then the only thing I need to do is cut off. These are called basically, they're translated as like breathing spaces or liberties. In Chinese, it's like qi. It's the places where these, in order for this space to be, here, I'll do, so we have this one space here. Its breathing spaces are these connected lines. Any crosshair that is connected on these lines, these are their breathing spaces. And to surround an area then, you just need to cut off all of the breathing spaces. Wait, do my marks go away when I put down a thing? They do. Okay, I'll just do this then. So, if you see like this, these are all enclosed. All of their breathing spaces have been enclosed. There are some breathing spaces in amongst themselves, but that's okay. That's okay. It's all enclosed in this structure here. Whereas this is not enclosed, this is not enclosed, etc. Yeah. Another thing you can do is let's erase some things. Let's just delete everything. Does that work? Let's erase? Erase? Yeah, okay, we'll erase some things. Oh, it's because I'm using So that's a simple example. You can also enclose territory around the edges. Hold on. Introvert, socially awkward, chill gamer boy. Oh, I see. I relate to some of that. OML Rider. Oh, hello, Jules, welcome back. I said I'd be here. Yay. Y'all good friends now? That's nice. Welcome, Jules. In case you want to play with us, we're just going over the basic rules right now. But we're playing on this here, you can see up in the address bar. online-go.com is the server we're going to be using. So if you want to play with us, you'll want to make an account. And anyone who wants to friend me, I'm open to friend requests. My handle on this is 天使_now. Yes. Okay. Alright. So territory, you can enclose a territory like that first, right? You can also enclose territories along the edges here. So because these edges don't have anything on the other side, they have limited breathing spaces. So if I put something here, its only breathing spaces are going to be these three. So if you want to enclose, on the other hand, a territory along the edge, then all you have to do is enclose it like this. And so now this is Black's territory. You get to use a lot fewer stones in order to enclose a territory. Additionally, the corners make it even easier. If you do something as simple as this, you can enclose this territory here. And of course, you want to enclose as much territory as possible, so you might even do something like this. And once Black does this all here is their territory. Now you might say, well, in that case, what about all this over here? Is that also Black's territory? And I mean, if you ended up in a state like this, which would never happen in a real game, but if you did, actually yes, this would all be Black's territory, even on this side, because technically, you enclose to this side too, right? However, that's where the game really comes in with this concept of territory you can defend. Because, let's say White did the same thing on the other side. Now, who can you say that this middle territory belongs to? You don't really know, because if White came in here, suddenly they have more control over this area, right? And so maybe they're gonna take all of this territory. Or say, oh, White didn't go in first, Black went in first. Now you see Black feels stronger on the board. They have all of this area that they might be able to control, and White can only defend here. And so that's where all of this ends up being considered neutral territory, until someone really gets to defend it. Even with Black here, you can't be sure. White could come in here and take over, right? So it's still all neutral territory. And a lot of games are kind of finished earlier rather than later. So a lot of territories So the reason you can only consider this and this territory is because they're enclosed, right? If you didn't have this, for example, you couldn't say this is black's territory, because maybe white can also encroach in on there. And that's where the enclosing part really matters. So if a game ended like this, you could only count the enclosed places, even though this whole area looks like maybe black could have claimed this territory. And where that sort of maybe comes in is partially because one thing that's unique about Go is that ending the game kind of early is not uncommon. So if blacks, for example, enclosed all of this space and ended the game, black would win because it has more undisputable territory, right? And so basically, if white's like, well, there's no way I can actually push into this area, black's too good, I don't think I can capture enough to win, white can actually say, I resign. And resignation in Go is considered sort of like good, I guess, in a way, because it shows that you have foresight, right? You understand your position and how good the other player is and how good their position is, and whether or not you think you could defend it. So it sort of shows that you have this good sort of understanding of the game. If you are able to see that the game inevitably, in the end, even if if you can push for the score to be closer, you know that you're going to lose after this point. So that's not uncommon. Also, the way a game ends, period, is when both sides pass at one after the other. So the end of a game is basically if black says I pass and then white says I pass, or if white says I pass and then black says I pass, then saying pass basically means I don't think there are any other moves I can do, and I can't tell yet who is winning, so let's count it up. And if the other player agrees by also passing, then the game ends. If the other player doesn't agree, then they get to be like, well, actually, if I put this piece here, it's going to change the game, and then the game continues. But when both sides pass is when you would count up the territories, and you would say, okay, so black has this much territory. Ooh, I enclosed too many things. Takes too long. Black has this many territories, and white has this many territories. And now we see black has more, and white has less. And then you add in the komi. And that's how you score. Okay, let me look back at chat for a second. I'm not even sure if this is making sense. I'm on the website, but I'm not trying to find Null's server. She hasn't made a server. All you can do for now is send her a friend request. Oh, that's right. This whole thing itself is the server. Actually, let me see. I got some friend requests. Okay. Group. That's what I was gonna say, actually. You found it, Chator. Sorry, I might have touched the mic there. I'm sorry if that was noisy. Chator found the secret. It's not a secret. Group join request. Yes. So I did make a group. I'm not exactly sure how groups work here. Oh, group join request. Yes. I see you're all finding it now. I'm not exactly sure how groups are used for, but I made one for our TNCT club anyway. And you can find it if you go to the groups section. I think that's here. And then you search for TNCT club. You can also, I think, find it from my profile page if you look for me, Tianshino. This is very interesting. Oh, I'm glad it's interesting. Oh, well, how do I send the request? Click the 3. Oh, yes. Thank you, Ryder. Thank you. Thanks for helping out. I mean, I did say T-Club Guild when. It would be silly if I didn't apply. That's true. I guess this is our guild, huh? Alright. So that's basic enclosures of territory. That's the very basics of it. I'll stop talking about territory for now, so I don't go into too many confusing nuances. For now, let's go back to this concept of breathing spaces, because aside for enclosing territory, there's one other thing that breathing spaces are critical to. We shall take the Go server by storm. Maybe a small storm. Small storm. Let me in, let me in. Group request meme reference. I see, I see. Okay, let's see. Group request. Yes. Yes. Okay. Alright. Cool. Oh, I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited. Okay, alright. Let's talk about the last important thing about breathing spaces. The guild is growing. It's true. It's true. The last important thing about breathing spaces is this. So every piece has a breathing space, basically. And that's very important. It's very important. So this piece, or every group of pieces, I guess, this piece has these breathing spaces, same as before, right? These breathing spaces. Now, say I put more pieces down, then these become the breathing spaces. They kind of took over each other's breathing spaces, but now they get to act as a group, and so they share these breathing spaces among themselves. Now, why is this important? This is important because of capturing. So capturing is a great way to exert some more power over the board. It's a more aggressive way of putting power on the board. So in order to capture a piece, you just need to cut off all of its breathing spaces. So this white piece right here, if we wanted to capture it, we would just have to go in all of these breathing spaces and see if I do this. This piece is now dead. And so it gets removed from the board. And you can see how this exerts power because now black can have this as its territory, and in addition, it captured one white piece, which means that it not only gained 1 point from territory, but 1 point from capture. So it's very powerful, very powerful. If you put down 3 pieces together, they're stronger because now they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 breathing spaces altogether, right? Whereas a single piece only has 4 breathing spaces. So in order to capture, if I do like this, I still can't capture this white piece because it's got its buddies right here, helping to extend its breathing spaces. I have to go all the way around. And once that happens, how do I make a capture happen? Can I make a capture happen here? Maybe not. But once that happens, then these 3 are dead. These 3 are gone, and they get captured, removed from the board, and placed into your captures. Typically, if you're playing by in real life, you have the bowl where you take your stones out of, and the lid can be used as a place to put your captured pieces. Yeah. And so that's how you capture. Yes. I guess I should stop here and say, any questions? Any questions so far? Grandmaster Null has so many pupils now. Not the Grandmaster, just someone who's played before. Assert dominance. Yeah, assert dominance on the field. Finishes king-size candy bar alone. Last munch. Oh, tasty. Oh, that sounds nice. It is the season for candy, isn't it? 28VAZQUJS is me. Okay, cool. Sounds good. When does the game end? Yes. Okay, let me go back. So essentially, a game ends one of 2 ways. There are only 2 ways to end a game of Go. One is a player resigns. So you look at the board and you say, I can tell that there's no way of me coming back here. I'm going to lose. I resign. Or your opponent says that, right? And that ends the game. So you say, I resign. Resigning is not a bad thing. I would like to stress that in Go, resigning is considered a very smart and almost hospitable thing to do if you can tell that the flow of the game is not going to go in your favor. Because these games can be very long as well. It shows a lot of foresight and a lot of care to be like, I'm not going to keep struggling. I know I'm defeated. I honorably admit my defeat. Is kind of the culture there. So that's one way that games will end. And that, I think, is more typical at high levels of play, because that's when people really have enough game sense to know for sure, like, oh, I'm gonna lose this game. And where it really shows off that level of knowledge. When you're just starting out, sometimes it's hard to know, am I just at a disadvantage right now? Or even, I don't even know who has advantage on the board, right? If you're not really sure, then you can't really resign, right? However, there does get to be a point in the game, the game, like many games, gets the flow gets broken down into like beginning of game, mid game, and end game, right? And after a certain point, you start to realize you're in the end game, and you're just kind of cleaning up your territories, right? Like, Black wants to protect this territory, right? Black doesn't want White to be able to come in here and be like, well, I'ma take this piece away from you, and now this territory here is not yours anymore because I took your piece, right? You can no longer claim this territory. So in the end game, what you'll typically want to do is to clean up a little bit, strengthen your borders, so that no one can come in and say, I'm gonna take your pieces. You know, you can say quite discernibly, this is my territory. This is all gonna belong to me at the end of the game. And typically it's around this point in endgame where you feel pretty confident in your borders and you just aren't really sure what the final count is yet. That's when you say, I don't think there's anything else I can do, right? Because as Black, you don't want to put pieces, for example, within your own territory, because in Japanese rules, these two spaces then are your territory. You've actually reduced your own territory by playing a stone there. So you don't really want to play inside your own territories. There's no real reason to do that typically at the end of the game. And so you say, there are no more beneficial moves for me to be taking. I pass. And if your opponent feels the same way, there's nothing else for them to do that will be beneficial to them, they will also pass. So when there are two passes in a row, that's when the game ends, because it's more or less both players saying, there's nothing I can do that will be more beneficial to me in this game. There are no more moves to be made. And at that point is when you start counting up territory. And that's how the game ends. You count up the territory, after the game ends, you count up the territory, resolve any disputes. If there is a real dispute, you can also go back and be like, okay, hold on, the game wasn't over after all, and just play out that dispute. But typically, the game's over, you count up your territories, you compare the totals, and you see who won. Let's see. I'll resign right away because I got no chance against Grandmaster Null, and I'll look very intelligent right away too. Well, to be fair, in order to look intelligent, you have to be undisputably, other people look at and be like, oh yeah, they did have good foresight there. I am not a Grandmaster, so I lack the experience to know when to quit, so no surrendering here. Nice. Back to hear that soothing voice, OMG. Oh, thank you. Hello, Nogate. Welcome back. A strange game. The only winning move is not to play. Not exactly. So now I changed my profile picture, so yeah, you can recognize me now. Oh, good. That'll be very helpful, so I know who I'm playing against. Sometimes people comment or like stuff from me on Twitter, for example, and if your handle on Twitter is different from on YouTube, I'm like, wait, who is this? It's always helpful to know I'm talking to the same person. Lullaby hype. Sleepy hype. Lullaby. It's a good song. I like it. It's probably your fault, Ryder, but now this song's like my favorite too, I think. Out of all the ones on my playlist, it's the one that I can recognize, even though I'm usually too out of it to notice when it plays. My fault. It is your fault. What do you mean? I might never have noticed if not for you. Okay, right. So that's the basics of the game. Let me think if there's anything else in terms of basics. I think that's the basics of what you need to know. The only thing, so that's basically how the game plays is you go black puts a piece, white puts a piece, black puts a piece, white puts a piece. You know, that's how the game goes, more or less. And you might fight, you know, trying to capture each other, but that's the basics of the game. Anything else you need to learn about the game is typically just very specific. So, for example, the rules of like how to count territory or how to put down handicaps. And finally, one very important rule, because of an interesting edge case that is called, what is it called? Ko? I don't know if it's called ko in Japanese. It might be called atari? No, atari is when you're in trouble. I can't remember. I learned it as ko. It might be ko in Japanese as well. Maybe that's what I learned. I can't remember what language it was. How many pieces are there? Basically plenty. You should never run out of pieces. If you ran out of pieces, you just didn't have enough pieces. I don't know what the typical counts are for the number of pieces that get sold together, but usually there's more than enough for a single game. So it's not a game where you're limited in terms of how many pieces you can put down. Yes. Okay. So counting rules is pretty basic based on what I already told you, which is that you just you determine which are your territory and which are your opponent's territory, and if there's a dispute, you just play it out. So I'm not going to go into that too much. The main thing is your piece doesn't count as a part of your territory. And you can kind of also see why being the first player gives so much of an advantage, because just by putting down a single piece, you more or less have more control on the board, period. You control everything on the board compared to your opponent until they put down their own piece. So that's counting. The counting is you count your enclosed territory minus captures plus komi, which is the balancing factor up here, which gets given to white because white's at a disadvantage. In terms of, so that's detail number 1. Detail number 2 is handicaps. Let's do handicaps because that's a little more simple. When someone you're playing against is better than you, they can of course go easy on you, but a more typical way of doing it to really get in good practice for both people is to employ a handicap. So let's say white is about 3 ranks higher than black. Then white will say black can put 3 pieces on the board to begin with before the game even starts. So typically the idea is you see these little circles here on the board? Those are called star points. They're mostly there just to help you orient yourself, but they're also very key points on the board in terms of territory, because they're sort of demarcations of generally where territory is, I guess. It'll make a little more sense when you play as to why they're so important. But basically, if you get a handicap of 3 stones, then you typically will put it on the star points. I don't remember all of the actual typical arrangements and the rules around that, but basically you put it on the star points. In this case, up to 5. And that's the handicap, is that you get to start with that many pieces on the board. And I believe after the handicap, white plays. If I remember correctly, it's been a little while. Games like this, servers like this are easy because they'll enforce it for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, that's the basics of Handicap. So if you're playing against someone who's a lot more experienced than you, and I guess the number of handicaps to rank is kind of calculated for a 19 by 19 board, but you can kind of figure it out on a smaller board, depending. But yeah, so handicaps are when black gets to start with some stones already on the board. Let me get back to chat. Let's see. How many pieces are there? I read that. Is this Fortnite? Oh, hello there, child. Hello, welcome. For real though, what is this? Go. This is Go. This is a classic board game. If you'd like to play with us, we are using this server, online-go.com. And you can find me, Tian Shenao, and friend me. And also from my page, you can find our group. Or if you search groups, you can find our group, Tian Shi Club. If you want to play around. So far, I've just been explaining the basic rules. So yeah. I guess I've been explaining them for a while. But we're almost ready. There's just one last rule that I want to explain. But before that, if anyone has any more questions, please let me know. Oh, it's literally called Go. Yes, that's right. The game is called Go. It's Go in Japanese, it's Weiqi in Chinese, and in Korean it is it's called Baduk. I've also heard it called Igo, Igo, but the most common international name that I know is the Japanese one, Go, simply because the Japanese popularized the game. I guess it got really popular from Japan. The game, as far as I understand, originated in China. The link to the website is in the description. Ah, yes, that's right. Thanks for helping, Remus. Yes, it's in the description, so you should be able to find it there too. Okay, alright. If there's no more questions right now, I'm gonna go on to the last important thing. The last very important thing to know before you start playing a game of Go. And that is the Ko rule. It goes something like this. So let's say you have this arrangement. Oops. I forgot that it's replaying something, so it puts things on the board. Ah, that's fine. So let's say you have how do I make this work? You have a situation that looks kinda like this. Yes, something like this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Go the oldest board game in existence? It's very possible. Kind of. It's hard for us to know for sure. I think it's still sort of a debated topic that archaeologists and historians are still trying to really pin down. But I believe it has been called the oldest board game in existence. I thought I had the basics down. It's almost like the world just opened up in front of my eyes. That's good, right? That's good, right? Hopefully this has been helpful. So let's say you have how you say, a condition like this, right? And so you can see that this black piece is in danger because it only has this one breathing space left. On the other hand, this white piece is in danger because it only has this breathing space left, right? So they're both kind of in, I believe, what is called atari, which is, they're in danger. It's helpful and terrifying in equal amounts, I guess. That's good, I guess. It makes life more I looked it up, and Senet seems to be the oldest board game. Ah, comes from ancient Egypt. Do people play Senet still? Is that the one with like the carts, the racing carts, something like that? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But Go is in the top 10 oldest. Ah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And you can see how the setup is pretty simple. So you could have been playing this a long time ago, as long as you have 2 different types of stones. Doesn't even have to be colors, but colors helps. And in this case, they're using natural stones. Or natural stones are the norm, so you get white stones or black stones that are either shell or slate. And then you just need to draw a grid, and it's pretty easy to set up. You can even draw it yourself. You can make it all out of paper at home if you want to. I think there are actually printouts on the internet these days that you can actually print out. Huh, interesting, isn't it? It's cool, right? It's cool. Alright, so in this situation though, right? You can tell that both sides are in danger. And the side that's basically gonna win this one is gonna be the side that goes next, right? Basically. Because if black gets to... Oops. If black gets to go next, they can go here, and that'll capture this white stone. And that white stone will get removed. Oops. Oops. What am I doing? Yes. On the other hand, white can go here, and that will remove this black stone. Okay, so that's simple. But what if white captures black here, okay? White captures black. But then black says, well, I'm gonna go here. Now we have what's called ko. Basically, white realizes now that this stone is still in danger, because if black can go here, then this stone will be captured, right? So let's just say, white plays somewhere else, and black does go here, right? It captures this white stone. But then, do you see this? Do you see this? White now has the exact same situation. White can capture this black stone back and get it back to the other situation. It's like an infinite loop, if you've heard that term. So white just goes right back in here and takes black, and they can go back and forth indefinitely, right? Just capturing pieces left and right. Let's just do that for 2 hours. Well, here's the thing. This infinite loop situation, this is called ko. And because it is an infinite loop, there's a special rule. Once you reach this situation, the first person to capture is allowed to do it. But the second person is not allowed to go there right away. Basically, if white goes here and captures black's piece, black can't go here the next turn. They have to play somewhere else. And that's just to prevent the infinite loop. So black plays somewhere else, then white can come in here and say, no more infinite loops. Right? No more infinite loops. This is mine now. On the other hand, black plays somewhere else, and then white's like, yeah, I'm gonna play over here instead. 1 turn has passed, so black can come right back in and be like, well, this is mine now then. And you can play into that ko. Basically, when a ko happens, you can play into it once. You can capture once, but once it gets captured once, you can't respond immediately within the ko. This becomes off limits to white until 1 turn has passed. And once that turn has passed, it's regame again. And that kind of just forces things to move along, Eventually, people do like to resolve the ko to make it no longer a question as to whose territory it is, but some people will just leave it open. In that case, during the territory counting phase, the space within a ko, an unresolved ko, is considered neutral, because since there's that infinite back and forth loop you can do, it basically means that you can't say for sure that you own that territory, right? So it becomes neutral, which is kind of why people sometimes like to strengthen it, just because it's also an easy way for someone to encroach on your territory, right? It's kind of dangerous. It's a danger to keep open, depending on the situation. Okay, alright. That was a lot of things. Any questions? What are your questions? Now let's see. So I've been talking for a really long time. I think we also, aside from if you have any questions, please say in chat. If you let me know what you think. Do you want to start trying to play some practice games, or would you like me to go through some of the sort of beginner puzzles first to give you a better idea of some of the things that might happen? They have a small tutorial on this site itself, this Learn to Play Go tutorial. It's not bad at all. It's got some high level puzzles to go through. And I can just kind of show you those. But it's honestly a lot easier to understand the puzzles when you play through them yourself, I think, and you really understand them that way. So I kind of recommend doing that on your own time if you're interested, rather than watching me solve them. That being said, watching me solve them doesn't necessarily mean that you won't be able to look at the same puzzle and try it yourself later. It might just give you a little bit of hint, unless you have a really good memory. Excuse me. Yeah, I learn best by doing it. Me too. In that case, let's see, what's all this? So that's you all. This is group channel. Nice. Hi. Hi. Oh, this is fun. I haven't seen this interface before. Okay, well, you question my ability to be a dum-dum. Welcome. Nameless, good to see you again. I'm sure you have a great ability to be a dum-dum, but also to be very smart. Alrighty. So, how shall we do this? Okay, let's try this. How should we do this? Who wants to play a game with me? Who wants to play the first practice game? And we'll just kind of like go through it slowly and talk it through. Let's do that. First person to chime in. I will challenge you to a game. Just tell me your username on this site. Who wants to be offered up as tribute to Grandmaster? No. Not a Grandmaster, no. Not tribute, we're just learning together. Remus Augustus. Okay. Oh, and you're just Remus Augustus here too, right? So I think I can just click here, and I can click challenge. Duel me, I volunteer. Oh. Oh, just a little too slow, Ryder. You'll be next. So when you find a person, you can click challenge here, by the way. So if y'all want to challenge me later, maybe not right now, because I don't know how that'll work. But if you go here and you search for me, just like how you would to start a game with me, you can click on me, and just like you'll see, I can challenge Remus here. You can click challenge. You can send me a challenge as well. But I'm gonna challenge first because you see this dialogue pops up, right? And I'm guessing if you're pretty new to this is a lot. You don't really know what to choose. So let me do this first, and maybe we'll get an idea. It's time to duel. Oh man, oh man. By the way, are y'all aware that the English version of Yu-Gi-Oh is basically like... It's like... It's basically... Do you know the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series? The English version is actually just like that. Like an abridged series of the version of the Japanese version. The Japanese version is a lot more serious. It's kind of funny. Me and my dang hesitations. It's okay, it's okay. It makes sense to be cautious when you're up against a dangerous monkey. But this might give me a better idea and strategies for when I play. I think hopefully it'll be fun and interesting to see a game played out. I have to warn you, I have no idea what I'm doing. That's the idea. We're gonna see how good I am at teaching based on how this game goes. The original Japanese version has no mention of the Shadow Realm. I like the English dub better. That's fair. Yeah, did you know? The original Japanese version, they don't get sent to the Shadow Realm. They just die. They just kinda die. It's a little dark, actually. Kaiba's a lot funnier in the English version, too. Alright, so let's see. Let's play not ranked, because we're just having fun here today. We don't need to worry about rankings. If you're ever interested by yourself later, playing ranked games, though, will help you get an official ranking on the site. And that'll help you play more games against people around your same level, because you guys can kind of like match up and see like, oh yeah, we're pretty close. So board size, I'm gonna go 9x9 because that's the small one. It's a little easier. Rules set, we'll use Japanese because that's what I'm most familiar with, and that's what I've been teaching you. Game speed. So game speed. Oh, and in case you're curious, here's the other options for rules. So I know of Japanese, Chinese, Korean. I've heard of those, but actually I don't know. AGA must be American Go Association. INGSST, I'm not sure what that is. And New Zealand, I had no idea New Zealand had their own rule set. That's pretty cool. Anyone here from New Zealand? That's pretty cool. Game speed is either correspondence, which means on the order of days, live, which means just playing like normal, like a normal board game, and blitz, which means with very quick time limits, kind of like if you've played speed chess, a little bit like that. I could say live, and that'll give you these different time controls, but I prefer to play with no time limit personally, even though we're just playing today for fun. I just don't like the pressure of having a timer. And I hope this is a teaching game after all. So I hope that it's okay if we go correspondence. I don't want you all to feel rushed. Doesn't mean that you should take a full day to put in your moves though. That's not advice. So for time control, I'm gonna go ahead and say none. Yeah. Byoyomi is perhaps the most common time control method. I'm not super familiar with it myself, but just to give you that idea, Byoyomi is probably the most common. But you can look up in their FAQ, they'll explain the different time controls. Alright, Handicap. You can see there's... Wow! I didn't even know you could go up to... That's a ridiculous handicap. Is that even playable? On a 19x19? But these are the handicaps. They can put in automatic handicaps for you, or it'll put down the stones in the typical spaces that you put a handicap in. We're gonna start with none just to make this game a little easier to understand, since we're all beginning, and we're just doing a learning game right now. So I'm gonna try to not be very aggressive. I'm not very good, so I'm not good at scaling my own level very well, but I'll try my best. And that way we can have a nice game that looks pretty typical off the bat. And then from there we'll see if we ever want to play with some handicaps or in the future. Komi, we'll go with automatic. That's usually based on the rule set. So for Japanese, it should come out to 6.5. And my color, You could go with automatic or random. I'll do white. I'll do white for now since I have some experience. Okay. And this analysis thing is a special thing that OGS does. I don't think we have to worry about that right now. Yeah. I hate timers on anything. So stressful. I know, right? Except for I guess timers when it comes to food. That's exciting. You can watch the timer countdown. You're like, oh, food's almost ready. That's the only timer I like. Alright, so I'm gonna send this challenge to you, Remus. I've never done this before, so I'm not sure what it's gonna look like on your end per se. I think it'll send you a notification. I think I might have accidentally gotten one at one point before this stream, so I think it'll send you a notification, and you just have to open it up, accept, I don't know. Sent. Challenge sent. Okay.
Game started.
Oh, game started. It sounds like you accepted. I need to go... Game started. Here we go. Friendly match. Nice. My toaster should have a timer. I always get scared by the toasts flying out. Not a bad idea. Does your toast fly out? Alright. Oh, interesting. It did a 5.5. I'm not sure why. Oh, maybe it's because it's a 9x9 board. That could be they're scaling it back a little bit because it's a smaller board. So you end up with fewer points in general, right? Because there's less territory to capture. Alright. So it says black to move. So that means it's Remus's turn, as you can see here. Now I recommend... I recommend, personally, if you're going to start the game, what you want to primarily think about is territory, right? Captures are important too, but territory is what matters the most. So you want to put your piece in a place where you think you can start building some territory in a way that it'll be easy to defend. So that's where these star points kind of come in, is that these are places that are considered like sort of easy borders for territory. Some rule sets even say you can't place your piece on a star point as your first move because it's just too powerful. But I don't believe Japanese rule sets has that restriction. Another thing to notice is that just due to geometry, this is kind of a math thing, so if it doesn't make sense to you, don't worry about it too much, the justification, but basically, there's always more area around the outside of the square than around the center, right? So for your first move, in order to have an easy protectable territory, you typically want to try to get borders. You want to try to get borders as much as possible into your territory. So you could conceivably put your first piece straight in the center and play super aggressively and say, I plan to take the entire board. But more likely what you'll end up with is the center, which is, if you look, it only has very few crosshairs in it versus the outside. So most people's first moves, they'll try to like start thinking about somewhere around the outside they want to start establishing their territory. And since the board at this point is completely symmetrical, it doesn't really matter which side you start on, it's just personal preference. Like I have a side that I tend to put my piece on just because, I don't know, it just goes there. So yes, so Remus, feel free to put your piece anywhere, and we'll see what happens. Alright, yes. Choosing a star point obviously is not a bad choice. So since Remus went into the upper left, you can see that Remus's control ends up being this corner. It makes them very easy to control this corner, and a little bit of the sides here and here. They're already kind of exerting their presence on this part of the board. So what I can do is I can either place a piece up here maybe and try to challenge their their territory up here. It's a little more aggressive, or over here also, same thing, it's because it's symmetrical. Or I can go somewhere down here and say, well, I'll let you have the top left corner for now. I'm going to establish myself on the bottom right, where I think it's easier for me to defend with the way things are right now. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go here. Yeah. Ooh, I'm gonna have some water actually. So one thing that's very common when you're first starting out is typically a lot of people just starting out. Oops, am I not moving? Ah, there we go. Have I not been moving? Have I been still this entire time? I apologize. I apologize. I think you need to click submit move. Hey? Oh, you're right. Oh, I hate that. So I put my settings to submit move on one click, but for some reason I think that's broken right now, so I have to hit submit. Thank you for letting me know. That's my fault. For a few seconds. Sorry about that. Yeah, I need to click submit. One common thing when you're just starting out is to want to play very aggressively, right? A lot of people, when they first learn about Go, the easiest part about Go to understand is probably the capture game, right? And so people get very caught up on capturing. But when it comes to Go, you'll start to realize that one of the most important things starting out is establishing your territory early and then getting into the fighting. So most people basically go straight to mid-game. Mid-game is where you're doing a lot of capturing and pushing, but early game is sort of this loose sort of setting up of territories. So for example, since I went down here, it shows that I, like Remus, I'm trying to take a corner for myself, right? I went a little to the left, which means I'm a little stronger along this side than along this side. And so Remus can then choose to say, well, okay, if I'm trying to just block out the territory I want to claim for now, it makes sense to either try to claim this corner or this corner, right? Or the center, but again, the center is very difficult to defend and doesn't get you very much, so most people won't go for that right away. So if you want to expand to one of these two corners, you see that I'm playing somewhat asymmetrically, right? The board is no longer symmetrical along this axis. You can decide, well, if you want to play on this side, you'll be playing a little closer to where I'm trying to establish my territory, so that's a little more aggressive. Or you can play on this side, where I'm a little weaker, because I'm not as close by, and so you might be able to push a little more there. And I think that's typically where I would play in this situation, is I tend to just sort of figure out which territory I want to, which area I want to establish my territory. Doop. Oh, I see. So this is an interesting move. So Remus is pushing down a little bit. Is this a good move? I'm not a professional, so I can't say for sure what is or isn't a good move. But I can tell you kind of what I understand from this move, right? So placing this here is a way of saying, I'm doubling down on this upper left corner territory. I'm going to double down on defending it, and I'm going to make it harder for you to move in, right? Because if I try to put pieces in here, you're very likely going to cut me off, capture me, whatever, right? So you're more or less strengthening your space over here, right? At the same time, you're not moving into too many new territories. You still basically have the same territory as before. And so it's actually a very defensive move. Whereas, so for example, in response to that, I'm seeing you establishing more of a territory in the upper left corner and maybe pushing slightly down onto the lower left corner. In which case, for me, what I want to do is come up here and say, well, if I put a piece here, I can exert power on this whole right side of the board now. Makes this whole area a little bit more under my control. And so I'm going for like wide swaths of territory early on, even though they're not super defensible if you were to come in right away. It's playing a little bit riskier to just try to see what you can grab, is what this move means that I'm putting here. I'll go ahead and submit that. So it's sort of a different style of play. I think, in my opinion, the way I tend to play early on is this sort of looser style. And I've seen other people play that way as well. But I don't know if it's necessarily objectively better depending on what you're going for. Especially as black, you have a little bit of an advantage because you have, until a capture happens, you have more pieces on the board than I do at any moment, right? I'm always catching up to you. So it's hard for me to say objectively good or bad, but that's what I read from it. Okay, alright. So Remus has put a piece up here on the edge. And that's again, fortifying territory, right? Fortifying territory, and also perhaps seeing that I've moved up into the upper part of the board, right? Previously uncontested part of the board. And so they may want to defend against that, so that I don't start, leeching over. I will say one thing is that you want to be careful about playing on edges or corners, because if you notice, edges only have 3 breathing spaces per piece, whereas the middle of the board you get 4 per piece, which means you're a lot safer closer to the middle of the board. Additionally, one thing to point out is corners are even worse. Corners only have 2 breathing spaces per piece. So you want to be very careful there. Yeah, typically you want to be careful around that. Okay, so you're going in here and fortifying your territory. And so I might play a little bit more aggressive and say, well, you're not challenging me very much on taking over the board right now, so maybe I'll try and grab a little more. Maybe I'll come down here and say, hey, maybe I can take some of this lower left corner. And so, if you glance at this board now, you can see these areas here look like that Remus could probably defend them pretty well. That will probably end up being where he's trying to establish his territory. For me, my territory is a little more spread out. The distance between pieces is farther, so it's a little harder for me to defend, but I'm trying to exert my control over this part of the board. And so if I can get the whole right side and a lot of the bottom side, that'll give me a lot of spaces of territory versus the corner up here. And so at this point, it might be good, rather than continuing to defend, to go on the attack. It would be my suggestion with my limited knowledge. Because as the game is going right now, and this all being neutral territory in the center, I guess you could try to push for the neutral territory and push into the center, but again, the center has fewer spaces in general, and so it's not as advantageous usually to try to take the center as to try to take the sides. So yeah, so from a high overview of this current board, it looks like white has the advantage because of the amount of territory being claimed by either side. There are multiple ways you can start challenging someone's territory. It kind of depends on your play style. So I don't have like a great suggestion per se, but basically these pieces, they're all by themselves right now, right? They're kind of lonely. That makes them good targets for aggression. If you want to move in and start to say, well, if you capture a piece, for example, if you capture one of these pieces, then there goes all of my territory that I've claimed, right? And the pieces that are going to be easier to capture are pieces that are close to your own pieces, right? Because you already have some power there and you can link up and be strong together if necessary. Or just like pieces where my pieces are further away from my own pieces, because that means I'm not as strong. I can't link up, right? Because if you remember, linking pieces together means that they share breathing spaces, which makes them more powerful because it makes them harder to kill or harder to eat. Oh, so now that's an interesting move. This is a very aggressive move, actually. Very aggressive. Because one, he's moving in on my territory, right? He's saying this area down here, he's not going to let it go uncontested. Not only is he not going to let it go uncontested, he's trying to cut off this piece and say, no, you're not allowed to be with everyone else. Makes this piece weaker. But at the same time, he placed his piece very close to this piece. So not just cutting off the fringe piece here, which, is an easy way to, start inching into someone's territory, is taking out their fringe pieces. But he's even saying, hey, your core piece here, I'm gonna attack you. I'm gonna attack you, so watch out. He even went so far as to cut off one of the 4 breathing spaces of this piece, putting it in immediate danger. So in response, my thought, bad Remus. It's just playing the game. Bad Remus. So in response, I think my gut instinct is to go here. The reason being, I guess it's nice that I don't submit it right away so I can talk a little bit about things and show you where I'm about to go. But I'm trying my best to absorb the information, but don't worry. Go is one of those board games where you don't have to remember everything I'm saying about the feelings I'm getting from the other player's moves, or the justifications behind my own moves. It's something that you just get a feel for over time. And once you get into that flow, you start to understand without thinking about it consciously, right? It's kind of about that. And so I'm just giving you my thoughts to sort of give you a taste of like how you might form your own thoughts. But my thoughts aren't necessarily the right thoughts. It's just sort of a way of reasoning about the game, right? So you can see the sorts of things that I'm thinking about. But in the end, it comes down to how you think about the game and how you reason about it, right? So even just sort of getting a vague idea of how things are going, I think is useful. So I want to go here. Why? Because twofold. One is I want to defend. So this guy's all the way over here all by himself, and that puts him in danger. Plus this piece right here is getting actively attacked. So if I wanted to, I could put a piece here or here or here in this general area, because that way I can start trying to link them up a little bit so that they feel a little stronger, right? Makes it a little harder for someone to move in. I chose here because it's a sort of a nice balance between defending this piece and defending this piece. And at the same time attacking the piece that's invading. I will usurp Null as the Grandmaster. Sounds good, sounds good. Chateau in theory. I see. Actual game. Throws pieces at random. That's how it's gonna feel for a while. But you get the hang of it. It's one of those things, you get the hang of it. Alright, so I'm gonna submit this move. I'm gonna go there. Oh no, believe me, I'm tossing pieces at random in theory too. that can help if you like to play around is the puzzles. I honestly find them very fun because the puzzles tend to be about very specific situations that you can reason about in terms of captures. It really feels like a puzzle, right? If you like puzzles. And they're very useful for micro-scale understanding of the game. Territory is very macro scale, and captures are micro scale, you see. And so by getting some idea on the micro scale, and getting sort of, it expands your tool belt for what you can do during a game, and that way you can focus a little bit more on the macro scale when it comes to a real game. So I like doing puzzles for that reason. Will there be another ghost stream if we're into it? Yeah, I'd love to do another ghost stream if people are into it. I'd love to. I love this game. Plus, I'm also thinking this server is pretty nice. I might play on it casually. We'll see. I might play on it casually, so maybe we can play off stream as well, depending. I did a couple puzzles last night, actually. Those are fun, but it felt like I was brute forcing my way through a lot of the time. It can feel that way, but once you start to understand why things work, it'll get more and more natural over time, and you'll start to see patterns in how to solve the puzzles. I shall go high into the mountains and practice my skills greatly then. Sati hype? Oh, best song after Lullaby. Oh, I see. I do recognize this one. I do like the Gymnopede songs. I see you're a piano fan. I'm a piano fan. I like piano. You said you play piano too, right? So that makes sense. Okay, so Remus has gone in here. This is very aggressive. You can see he's trying to cut off a breathing space for both this white piece and this white piece. Both of them are now down to only 2 breathing spaces. In addition, he prevented them from connecting up. That makes them weaker, right? He cut straight through so that they couldn't connect. However, speaking of puzzles and tool belt and tricks up your sleeve. Speaking of which, I have one, actually, that I will perhaps demonstrate to you right now. We'll see if Remus lets me do it. Do you feel the impending doom? What I will say is about this is one thing to remember is that edges are powerful because you can get a lot of territory, but they're also dangerous for similar reasons to what I was talking about earlier with having they're dangerous because they have fewer breathing spaces around, right? And in this particular situation, due only to the order of turns, the fact that my turn is next rather than Remus's turn, if we look at this formation down here, I have an advantage. And you'll see why in a moment. Now, my memory is not good. Also now, I remember you play piano. Well, I do have a bad memory. Like when Shatter asked earlier how long I've been playing Go, I have no idea, honestly. But my memory likes to remember random things sometimes. So sometimes it'll remember things for absolutely no good reason other than to just remember it. Do you feel your impending doom? 天使闹 2020. That makes it sound bad. I'm not the bad guy. I just... I'm a good monkey. I don't mean it that way. Yes. Oh no. Alright, well I will show you what I mean. So, for my move, I will go here. And you can start to see I'm putting a lot of pressure on this piece right here. It only has the 1 breathing space left. And without that breathing space, it will be captured. I'll submit that move. It's so bad that you said Shator asked how long you've been playing, and it was me who asked. Oops! You're right. That's how bad my memory is. That wasn't too long ago, I apologize. I mean no offense. But you see, that's how my memory works. It likes to remember certain things and not others. Usually it only remembers information that's not very important. Not very important. I guess there's some truth to your words, Master. I guess so. Hi, I was just playing Among Us. Ah, welcome, Bow Queen. Oh, how is Among Us? Was it fun? I haven't played it yet, but I watched a few people play. It seems pretty fun. Welcome. We're playing Go with each other. Right now I'm playing against Remus. I don't know how many games we'll be able to go through because we're going very slowly, and that's my fault for talking a lot, but I'm hoping that people are getting something out of it. But if you want to play, either now or later, you can sign up on the Go server here, onlinego.com. The link is also in the description, and you can friend me, tianshi_nao, and or join our group, Tianshi Tea Club, which you can find either from my profile or by searching the group page. Hello, no one special. Hello, welcome. Same spiel I was just giving to Bow Queen. Yes, come join us. Come join the Tianshi Tea Club on onlinegoserver.com. Well, it's online-go.com. Come play with us. Among Us is so much fun. It looks like fun. I'm not good at being sneaky though. By the way, this was a good move actually. This was a very good move, Remus. You did not fall for my trap. But we'll see. We'll see if I can get myself out of this one. Remus wasn't falling for my trap. I can explain my trap later, but for now I'll explain why this was a good move. Because this move, again, threatens these two pieces, and especially this one. Now this one is in the same situation as the black piece it was in terms of having only one breathing space, right? Only one breathing space. In addition, this one only has two now, just like this one only has two now. And so, more or less, Remus has forced my hand. If I don't want this one to die, I have to do something, right? This is very similar also to you, if you notice, the Ko situation we were in before. Or how you say, it has the potential to become the Ko situation. Yeah. But instead, what I'm going to do, just because it feels right to me, I don't know, that's how I play sometimes. I'm not really thinking about exact moves, but more what feels right. I want to go here, because by going here, I strengthen this piece. I take it from one breathing space to this whole group now has 3 breathing spaces. And additionally, it gets a little better linked up to maybe this guy up here. And he's encroaching on my territory here, so I gotta be careful. So I kind of just want to go here and strengthen it up that way. Yeah. Yes, once I had an idea that we should make a null Discord. Yes. Some people have brought that up before. I've been looking into it. I haven't had a lot of time to spend on it, which is why I haven't started one yet. But I do hope to have one in the future. I can't promise when yet, but I'm working on it. I'm not super familiar, so that's why I want to make sure I do it right. Is this a chess-like game? I've never heard of this game before. You might be able to say it's kind of like chess. A lot of people like to make that comparison, but when you actually play the game, when you actually look at it, it's not that similar. The similarities more or less end at that it's sort of like a very old board game. It's a very old board game that people have been playing for a long time, and both board games are sort of almost like war strategy games, but like ancient war strategy games. Compared to chess, Go has much simpler mechanics and rule set, but but it's actually considered to be a lot more complex because there's a lot more possibilities for moves because of that. And so it's kind of a very different game. Some people like to say, if you see chess as a battle, Go is a war. So rather than focusing on moving individual pieces to their strengths and taking out a king sort of thing, what you're trying to do in Go is to control territory, you might say. To control territory, yes. Definitely not. It is a little different, isn't it? The only similarity is the colors and the fact it's a board game, but it's very different. That's a good way of putting it, Ryder. Working on it hype. Working on it, yes. Working on it. We're going to war with Nal. Let that sink in. It's a friendly war. It's a friendly war. Ah, I see. This is interesting. I get the feeling you're trying to attack this lower left piece, but in a slightly less aggressive way, because you're trying to be a little closer to your own pieces here. And that makes me a little starting to feel uncomfortable for this poor piece all by itself. So I think what I'm going to do is this. I'm gonna try to cut you off. I'm gonna be a little aggressive about it. By threatening this piece. I could also go here and just full on stay defensive. This would be a much stronger move for me because it connects these two pieces and lets them share breathing spaces. But I'm gonna be a little aggressive. I feel a little aggressive. Let's do that. We aren't going to war with her. She's just teaching us military tactics to prepare us for world domination. We are a peaceful club. We're a peaceful club. Very peaceful. Very peaceful. I see. Very insightful, ma'am. I'll do my best to fight for the cause. We are peaceful. Aha! And now Remus is threatening this piece here, right? Like I said, it's not as strong as it would have been if it was connected to something. So it is easy to threaten. Now it only has one breathing space as well. I'll name all my pieces. Is that weird? It helps make me more invested on not letting any piece die. You might have to come up with a lot of names though. Right now on the board we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 8 pieces each. And we're not even close to done. But if you have that many names in you, go for it. If this continues, the board is gonna look like a chessboard. It can. There's a lot going on here. So if you see here, you're threatening this piece. So there are some things I can do, like if I go here, that's very defensive. I link everything up and make it safe. On the other hand, I can be defensive and aggressive, because if you notice, this black piece here, not only is it threatening this piece, it only has one breathing space. So if I take it, the threat to this white piece is gone. I'm gonna take it. No, Rita died. No. The pieces, they don't die. They get captured. You see up here now it says one capture. It's just sitting in the bowl in the bowl lid with next to my pieces now. It's just captured. It's okay though. It's okay. We treat our prisoners well. Give me back my legions. I saw you. Rita. Remus, you have to get Rita back. Unfortunately, there's no way to get them back. They are just mine now. We will always remember Rita. Oh. Don't listen to her lies. Oh dear. Oh. Alright. So going up here is interesting. I'm not entirely sure what you're targeting, whether you're trying to take more territory or to attack this group here. Both are very viable. Both are viable options. So it could be you're trying to do both. In which case, I feel the need to start defending my territory up here. I kind of want to cut you off so you can't link up with your other peoples down here, while also linking up myself a little bit. And so, I will play somewhere around here, probably. Somewhere like here. Yes, just felt right. Rita will live on in our hearts. Poor Rita. Okay, now you're gonna have to excuse me for one moment, because I need to run to the restroom. I apologize. I apologize. Oh, speaking of which, I made this game not speaking of the restroom, but speaking of me hopping off for a bit. I think I made this game not private, which means if you go here, you might be able to spectate, actually. If you go to this game here, or if you go to my page, you might see that I'm playing one game, and you can actually enter the chat room, I think, and watch as it happens, if you're interested, if you want to take a look. But yes, mentioning that in case you want to look at something other than my be right back screen while I'm away. Okay, alright, I'll be right back. One moment. Haha, okay, hello, I'm back. I tried to be quick. What have you been up to while I'm away? This looks suspicious. This looks suspicious. What's happening? Why is there an operation going on? Should I be worried? We've been spotted. Hide. What's happening? But Rita, the mission's compromised. What's going on here? I'm suspicious. I've located the spies, Master. Everything is okay now. Hold on. Hold on. Who do I believe? Saving Private Rita. What's happening? Ryder placing us firmly under the bus here. Gently but firmly. I feel suspicious. Well, all right. Everything seems fine, so I guess I'll just assume everything's okay. Vote Ryder, he's sus. Ryder kinda sus though. Keeping an eye on y'all. All of you. Alright. I see Remus made a move too. Coming in up here trying to threaten my territories. I see how it is. In which case, I'm going to do... what do I feel like doing? What if I were to do... this? Yes. Basic reasoning here being that I feel a little aggressive. So this move lets me move into the territory, Remus's territory a little more here. While very slightly strengthening this one here, but not directly, still not touching. One thing that's easy to get into doing when you're new to playing, that Remus has actually not been doing at all, which makes me feel good, because I feel like I'm a good teacher, right? I shouldn't take credit. Is that oftentimes you don't want to play too, how do you say, thickly, I guess? At the very beginning. You don't want to necessarily put all of your pieces exactly right next to each other, because when you do that, it does strengthen them by putting them together, but it also makes it harder to take large swaths at a time, and in a way, it also links their destinies, I guess you could say. For example, these three pieces that are touching right here, if they were to be captured, they would all be captured together. Versus like a piece out here to be captured, would be captured alone. I'm not sure that's a good way of explaining it, but early on, playing a bit more loosely, I think, tends to be advantageous. Oh, here he comes, pushing in this way, trying to attack some of this stuff in here. So that worries me a little bit, because I don't want him cutting everything off, right? I want to make sure everyone can stay together. Everyone together. So I'm gonna actually start linking up pieces, like this one. I want to say, no, you can't come in here. We're blocking you. I'm sorry, we're closed. Sorry, we're closed. Stay over there. Now, conceivably, this doesn't necessarily lock him out, right? He could still play in here. It just makes it a lot harder for him to do so, because he's got white on all sides if he does that, basically. The puzzles were telling me about that yesterday. Ah, nice. They said it's important to have something they call 2 lives. 2 eyes, actually. 2 eyes is a very important trick to have up your sleeve, an important skill to have up your sleeve. I can try to explain, actually. I can't put pieces down to show you, but I can try to explain a little bit, and it'll make sense when you see it, for those of you who haven't seen it yet. basically, the idea is, oh, here's a good example. So you know the whole ko thing we're talking about. The only reason why ko works is because it allows you to capture. Normally, if black were to go here right now, for example, on e3, that's what's called suicide. And it's not allowed. You're not allowed to do it. That's because if black went here, they would have absolutely 0 breathing spaces, right? And if they have 0 breathing spaces, they can't survive. It's an automatic throwing away of your piece. So it's an illegal move. However, in the ko situation, since you're capturing some of the pieces that are taking away the breathing spaces, your breathing spaces basically open up instantly. So you're allowed to go there. It's no longer suicide. The way this plays into the idea of having 2 eyes is because since it's suicide to play in here, you can more or less think of this as like a safety. It keeps all of these pieces here around it safe. And so, because they can't be captured unless you go there. Now, the problem with that is that, oh, I gotta move. I'll finish my explanation first. The problem with that is you can still surround them as long as the otherwise suicidal move would capture pieces that cut off the breathing space, which means that it's not perfectly protected when you have just one eye. This is also a false eye, but we won't get into that right now. But the idea is, if your group of pieces has one of these spaces where you can't move in, it's like a suicidal move to move in, you can still be captured. But if there are 2 of them, if your group of pieces has 2 of them, that's a guarantee, because there's no way to surround your group and then the last move do the suicidal move, because you would have to do it twice. That's the strength of 2 eyes, and that's something you can look into if you're interested. It's very important to learn early on if you like to play the game. Ryder was an imposter. You're all the imposters. Are we not the Tea Club? You care more about Rita than Notch? I'm not sure what's happening, but we're all in this together. We're all in this together. So Remus goes here, more or less strengthening his territory, and threatening mine just the tiniest bit. I think I could play aggressively and try to cut off some of his pieces here, maybe here or here. But I get the feeling that right now that might not have the highest chance of success. The other thing I can do is try to strengthen my own holdings by going here or here, which is a little safer. So I think that's what I'll do. And in terms of safety, this move is a little safer than that one because it links up the pieces, but it's also a little bit less of a like risk reward, because it's possible that there's still an open here, right? So it's a very minor difference though. So I'm gonna go with the safer one. I'm gonna go here. Yeah. So begins the second Tea Club War. Tea War 2? No. A club divided cannot stand. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, maybe we shouldn't name the pieces. Starting the second Tea War. What's the first Tea War? Which one was the first Tea War? We are all friends here. We are all friends. Oh, one other interesting thing to note is that aside from having an immediate territory advantage, you can kind of see here that black also has a initiative advantage. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Because since they get to move first, they get to do a lot of the pushing a lot of the times. They get to lead the flow of the game from the very beginning. Depending on the flow of the game, that can always shift, right? But tends to be, at least at the very beginning, white has to be reactionary compared to black. Oh, we got an invader. We got an invader. We're being invaded. That's a gutsy move right there. Let's toss the die. Is that what's happening now? It's a very risky move, because once you come in here, you have no guarantee that your pieces are gonna stay alive, right? The sort of the two eyes thing that Chateau was talking about earlier is one of the main tools you want to have in your tool belt when you're trying to invade, because otherwise you can't guarantee success for your invaders, and they might end up either being captured or actually, one thing I didn't mention is if you have your opponent's pieces in your territory at the end of the game, you don't actually have to capture them. They can be more or less labeled as quote-unquote dead pieces that would be captured if the game played out, and then they count as captures at the end of the game when you're counting territories. So you do want to be careful about that as well. So in this example, for example, you're invading. I don't want you invading. And so what I might want to do is immediately try to cut you off, right? Cut you off. But if I'm feeling pretty confident, I could also just ignore you for a little while and be like, well, you're not up to any trouble right now. I'd rather, for example, change the flow of the game, right? Start taking control. This does end up coming down to experience with puzzles and stuff, because the question is, how threatened do I feel by this piece here at H8? How threatened do I feel? Do I feel like I need to deal with it right now? Or do I feel like it's something I can come back to later? Remus, don't invade Nal's territory. Are you trying to win or something? I suppose that does tend to be the point of the game. But you see, if I'm feeling pretty confident in myself right now, hopefully not too overconfident, then I could do something like... this. I can change the flow of the game. I'm no longer reacting to black. I'm trying to take initiative down here by showing that these two pieces, I already have some of their breathing spaces, and if I go here, it threatens both of them. And that I can start trying to move in on this lower left corner, or at least the center. Claps. Claps? What claps? Yeah. And so by doing this, it's often a way of forcing the flow of the game to change, because Ryder may feel the need to respond, right? Since he has now two pieces that are in danger, he might want to try to protect them. Or if he really doesn't care, right? It's about evaluating, and on a big board this becomes a big deal, because when you're playing on a small board like this, there's not so much to think about. But if you're playing on 19 by 19, that's orders of magnitude bigger than this board. Basically, you've got 9 of these boards all put together, which means that whatever's happening here, imagine that happening 9 times, and kind of having to look at different places in terms of where all of this is happening. You gotta keep track. That's why a 9 by 9 board is easier to start with. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Remus didn't take the bait. He didn't come down here to try to defend. He wants to take the lead back by forcing me to do something in this upper corner. And I think I'm gonna have to respond, because I don't want him pushing in here. That starts to be my territory. I don't want him pushing in and claiming more and more of it. Even if he can't put down enough pieces to claim territory of his own here, he can still make mine smaller, if that makes sense. Not necessarily by making his bigger, but just by making me fill mine in. So I don't like that. I want to guarantee some territory up here. So I'm going to go here and close it off. I'm going to say, no, you're getting cut off here. Stay out. Stay over there. Yeah. Nala explains what she's doing. Remus didn't take the bait. Now, surprise face. You know. To be fair, even if he doesn't take the bait, this move is more than just bait. It sets me up to have a little more power in this bottom left area for whenever we get to it. Because with Go, especially if you're not at the level where you're probably going to be resigning anytime soon, and you kind of just want to play out the whole game, it's useful to set things up for later, because you're probably going to play out the entire board. I see. He's still pushing, still trying to establish territory. Do I want to deal with this right now? It's starting to become more of an issue. In fact, for those of you who might know about eyes, like Chateau, he does actually have the capability of forming 2 eyes in this area. If he can get far enough. And I can try to cut that off, but it'll take a lot of work. It'll take a pretty intense battle. And I don't know. I don't really feel like... I don't know if I feel like doing that battle right now. Let's see. So, I'm trying to think about the critical points here, without giving it away. If he plays in any particular critical points, that will more or less spell like a good chance for him in this area. I don't want to take that risk. So what I'm going to do is play into one of those critical points myself. This is a very important point. This more or less determines whether this territory stays mine or his. I'm not going to explain it all right now because it might get a little too complicated, but it's one of those things where if you play enough puzzles, you get a feel for it, right? That's what the puzzles are for. So I'm going to submit that. Let's lock him in. Truly a bait of a master. A master bait. Oh. The master of bait. I see. I wouldn't quite say that I am a master of bait. But you know. You see, Remus has the right idea here. And I think with a little more experience with like eyes and stuff, Remus will hone this eventually, this sort of tactic that he's going for here. But right now, I will show you the disadvantage of not having 2 eyes. And that is, I can go here. And that puts this piece at risk. More or less, trying to stem the invasion. Yuri has a lot of experience with eyes. Ah, that's true. Her eyes are everywhere. The difference between a student and a master. Mostly it's just experience, right? It's like if I've seen a situation similar to this before, I can employ similar tactics. Ah, you see, now he took the bait. I didn't give it away this time. So, by going here, he strengthens this piece so that it cannot be taken. Unfortunately, the group he strengthened it to also now only has one eye. If you look at these four together, this is their remaining, or not eye, sorry, breathing space. This is their remaining breathing space. It is in fact an eye, but it's only one, and everything else has been surrounded. Which means I can take it. Alternatively, if he could have taken one of the pieces surrounding his pieces, that would have given him some more ability to take over that area. But for now, if I go here, those pieces are gone. One thing I might point out to all of you also is that at this point, seeing that, a lot of people would probably agree that these stones are dead. In fact, even before putting down this stone, you might almost be willing to agree that they're dead. Which means that I don't even necessarily have to put this piece here for people to agree that they're dead. Which means that if I do want to control the flow of the game, I can just ignore them and consider them captured without having to fill in my territory. That's a possible move as well. You fool, you fell right for my trap. My trap card. Mom, get the camera. Camera? And because of that, so basically, I can leave these on the board if I think they're dead and non-threatening. One thing I might want to be careful of is that if you leave them on the board, even if they're dead, doesn't mean that down the line, if you play and you miss something, that they won't come in handy, right? For example, if I'm not paying attention, I'm doing something over here like doody-doody-doo, and he plays successfully at J5 and H6, he will take J6. Suddenly, they're no longer useless, right? They're no longer dead. Additionally, this whole group right here, starting at G9, they don't have two eyes. So if he is able to successfully cut off their breathing spaces at F5, G4, H5, and H6, he can take that whole thing and suddenly he has this whole territory to himself. So the question is, how effectively do I think he will be able to do that? If I think he can't do that, I better get rid of the threat now. If I think actually it's not very likely, because that is a lot of spaces to have to fill in, and they're not easy spaces. Some of them are very dangerous spaces. Like here, if he puts a space at H6, I can capture that immediately, right? So if I'm thinking the threat isn't too great, I can kind of ignore it for now, you know? Oh no, there are trap cards now? This is all getting a bit out of my wheelhouse. Trap card. Did you know there are cards? Bring out the decks. I'll say, right now, I'm feeling a little confident because at the very least, so here's a good way to make a more objective comparison as to how dangerous the invaders are. In this case, I can take these 4 pieces with a single move. That means that if he moves into any of these spaces here, and I feel threatened, I can just take the pieces then. Which buys me some time, because in order to take my pieces, he needs at least 2 or 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces to be placed down. So once I start to feel threatened, it's very easy for me to defend. It's a difference between 2 and 1, or 4 and 1. So I might just leave them there for now. I think I might just leave them there for now. Why stop at cards? Let's get some dice in as well. I like the way you think. Is there a Go anime or movie? There is, in fact. Hikaru no Go? Exactly. In fact, my first introduction to Go was learning about Hikaru no Go. I never actually finished the manga or the anime. I only saw a little bit of it here and there, but it made me interested. So if you're interested, it's basically a sports anime where the sport is Go, and it's about this little kid who cheats his way to the top. That's a bad way of putting it, but it's about this kid who gets possessed by the ghost of a Go master. I think maybe from a long time ago, Heian maybe, or Edo, I don't know, but by a Go master, and through these shenanigans, he himself becomes a Go master. Yeah. Alright, so if I'm not gonna go there, then I need to decide where to go, right? If I'm not gonna let him lead me, I need to know where I'm going to lead him. Well, I have a few options here, a few options. I could go, for example, could try to push out here, or this place that I strengthened earlier, or not strengthened, but threatened earlier. Actually, let's see. If I go... what do I want to do? I think I want to push out here, actually. Establish more territory for myself, by in this way invading Remus's territory. Yeah, and capturing a piece at the same time. Let's do that. Yeah. That's a lot of card game anime now that I think of it. Use the power of some other guy to win it big at your game of choice. Right? They're all about cheating, right? It's just cheating. The cool thing about Hikaru no Go is that they address that a little bit, actually. This idea that he's not playing under his own power, and so it's not... It brings up some questions, right? And eventually, at first he's only playing because the spirit really, really wants to play, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll help you play Go. But eventually he himself becomes interested in the game, and at that point, when he wants to start playing for himself, is where he starts improving at the game, because he's been watching all these games, you know? And he starts to learn to be good on his own. Just wondering if I watch the anime or read the manga. I'm not sure. Since I haven't actually finished either of them, I don't have a good comparison. Someone who's a bigger fan of the game might be able to give a better recommendation. For me personally, I think it would come down to just which format you prefer. I'm a big manga reader, and it's also the original. The original was in manga format, so I often lean that way. But anime is a lot easier to just kind of sit back and watch, and I hear the anime is very good. So I would say that it's down to your preference, I think. Unless someone with more knowledge can give a recommendation. I take big inspirations from watching shows about them. Would you recommend it for anything other than the fact that it has Go in it? Well, actually, if you like shonen in general, it's not a bad one to go for, because it was popular enough that it actually can be credited with some of the popularity of Go today. It's one of those shows where a lot of shows these days, with their niche hobbies, they turn a niche hobby into it kind of revitalizes the hobby because it gets more people into it. So if you like kind of sportsy shonen to begin with, it's a lot of fun. It's got a little bit of comedy, a little bit of drama, but mostly sports. Where Go is the sport. Aside from that, I don't know much. I like the art though in the manga. I will say that the art is beautiful. I love the style. I think that happened with Haikyuu and volleyball, actually. Yeah, I think so too. It's interesting how that works. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Alright, so Remus went here. He's not given up on this invasion down here. So if he's gonna try to invade here, that does make me a little worried. I'm still not sure he can prevent these stones from ending up dead, though. I think I can make it such that those stones end up dead similarly to these stones up here. And I think the way to do that is to strengthen. If I go here, suddenly this whole place that I've been laying out from the beginning, so Go's kind of a long-form game, right? This whole space that I've been laying out little by little, not playing too thickly but slowly filling in, becomes one massive piece, right? Makes it a lot harder to capture. And so, that being said, it does remove one breathing space from both of these structures, in a way. Because this was a breathing space and it's surrounded on both sides. So if I do this, in order to capture the whole structure, he would need 1, 2, 3. It's actually, for this structure, it's the same amount. And for this structure, it's more. It's more. So that makes it a little safer, I think, overall. It also positions me to threaten his pieces a little better. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this here. And hope for the best. Let's do that. It also happened with one of the Kamen Rider series. Oh! It was based on fruit. And so the most popular characters actually boosted the sales of their fruits. That's awesome! That's awesome! I am a big fan of fruit after all. That's pretty cool. Which fruits got popular? Oh. Fortune favors the bold. That's true. My issue is that the anime looks very outdated, and I take no interest in that art style, but manga doesn't suffer so much from age. That's a good point. Sometimes watching old anime, as long as you kind of have an understanding that it is old anime, the style may not bother you too much, but some do look pretty dated. So I might go for the manga. Replacing Berserk as something to read. They're very different. I think. It sounds like very different. Let me know if you enjoy it, though. I remember it being pretty fun. I think the main characters were oranges, bananas, and grapes. All good choices. Speaking of fortune favors the bold, I see Remus being bold again down here. Do I respond to his threats? Do I respond? No. I'm going here. I'm going to be bold too. Is it the right move? Who knows? It's what I feel like doing, though. This is where we're going now. Bold Monki. Be bold. Yeah, sometimes in Go, it's interesting because it's one of those games where I think I mentioned before, I like games where you can just kind of go make your moves based on intuition because it's more relaxing for me that way. Go is interesting because it's a little bit of both. You can spend forever analyzing a game, and that's how you end up with games that take multiple days, right? You might even just play one move a day and spend the rest of the day thinking about where's the next good move. But you can also just play it lightly and just be like, I don't know, this feels right. I think that's kind of nice. I'm going from a guy slicing demons in two with a giant sword to a slice of life about a boy playing Go. Yeah, I'd say it's a bit of a difference there. I wouldn't call it slice of life per se, but it's definitely more slice of life than Berserk. Slice of life is an interesting genre because I feel like when it comes to slice of life, it's about almost having no no clear progression whatsoever, not any more so than basic character growth that you might see in normal people in real life, right? Whereas in this case, it does get a little bit, it's more like a sports anime where there's a drive to win, to get better, to, you know, be the best. Berserk is definitely a slice of life at some points. There's a lot of slicing going on, at least. Slicing of lives, perhaps. I see. Alright, this is starting to get pretty scary. You see, Remus is coming in here, trying to threaten these pieces. I see where you're going with it. I see where you're going. And I don't like it. And so in order to defend myself, actually, rather than taking these pieces like before, I want to take these pieces. Because this will allow me to not only protect my territory, but expand it as well. So I'm going here. Yeah. How's that? Yeah. And now you see this big structure here. It's got what's called 2 false eyes. Because in order to capture it, he would need to fill in these 2 spaces, which would constitute a suicide. The first move would not be suicide, but the second would be. And he would need to fill in this space, which constitutes a suicide. The difference between false eyes and true eyes is that the eyes are not created, in this case, by a single structure. You see, the eyes rely on these pieces here and these pieces here, which are not connected to the main structure, and thus makes them targetable, I guess. Which means you can destroy this eye, making it a false eye. You can destroy both of these. If, on the other hand, they were all connected, it would be indestructible, and therefore a perfectly protected territory. Oh, I see. Remus is coming back in to strengthen his territory that I'm starting to threaten. In which case, I'ma push a little more. I'ma take these guys. I'ma say, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, Remus. Yeah. This is how you slowly push into other people's territory. And there you can kind of see these 2 pieces were strong when they were close together, but because they weren't connected, when they're immediately threatened, they end up being harder to defend. And that's why you see me in the beginning playing loosely, and generally playing loosely until I feel threatened. That's why I try to play a little tighter. Alright, Remus defending more territories here. You see, playing a little more tightly too, making it harder for me to breach, right? I can breach like this, or like this, along the edges. But over here, I have no allies. It's a lot harder. Alright. Oh, I found something I can do. Oh. Should I be mean? How mean should I be? I noticed I'm starting to get kind of aggressive. This was supposed to be a teaching game. Chat, what do you think? Should I bully Remus? Should I bully Remus or should I be nice? Place your votes. The rise of bully now. Oh no. That's no good. It's a learning experience. Yeah. It's just tough love. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. Shall I show Remus some tough love? I'm a masochist, so please. Oh. Is that right? Go all out now. I want to see your power. Bully. I don't want no holding back. If we beat you, it has to be earned. I'm seeing votes for bully here. Are we bullying? I guess we're bullying. Remus asked for it himself, so... If you're a masochist, then I don't feel so bad, you know? You're getting something out of this too, then. Well, the bully move is this. D8. Bully move. Now, as you can see here, this structure is very important to Remus's territory. If I can get rid of this structure, I get all of this. I can maybe push in all the way over here. If I can defend, if I can get that, if I can get rid of this structure right here, gives me some strength. And the question is, why is this a bully move? Well, we'll see how it plays out. We'll see what Remus does. Bully. Yes, okay. I'm not behind in chat. I am actually caught up. I was worried for a moment there. But yes, I'm curious actually if any of you can see why this move is bully. I wonder what Remus is thinking now. Oh, Remus, I am very proud of you actually. I cannot take credit for this. Remus has good game sense. You wanna know why I say so? Here's why. Thanks, Mom. Oh. I'm so proud of you, Remus. Here's why. There are a couple of moves Remus could have gone for here. If Remus had gone for D9, it might have been a tempting move, but I would have been able to capture anyways, because the only breathing space would be here at C9. So that allows me to capture the whole thing anyway. He could alternatively have gone to C8, which is threatening this white piece, saying, hey, stay out, I can kill you too. But I would have the advantage because I would get a move next, and then because I'm threatened, I would definitely take these pieces. And so, what Remus has done here is what appears to me to be mild threatening, just saying, you know, if you don't take those pieces, I'm gonna take this territory back, is the feeling I get. But at the same time, there's some defensive thinking ahead, sort of, you know, thinking further into the future here. Because he says, you know, even if you do take those pieces, I'm gonna defend this part of my territory. I'm not gonna let you push in. I think that's a good move. But unfortunately, I can't let you go here. Because if you went to D9, that would make it very difficult for me to capture these three pieces that more or less right now I have under my thumb, right? And I can't let you take that advantage away from me. So I have to capture them by going to D9. Often, the optimal space for me and the optimal space for my opponent, likewise the optimal space for you or your opponent, often are the same space. So for me right now, this is the most important space. Because if I go here, I capture these. And if he goes here, I'm under threat. This piece is basically very likely to be taken. So I'm gonna go here. Yeah. Remus doing well is making me nervous about my own performance. Well, I wouldn't go that far. How should I put this? I think Remus is doing well for a beginner, for sure. For this being your first game ever, you're doing very well. However, from the macro view of the game, the flow of the game and the balance of the game. If I were to analyze this board right now, these stones here are probably dead. These stones here are almost definitely dead. These stones here are probably dead, along with these down here. So if you look at the board and imagine those stones weren't there in order to count territory, then basically I have control of, what is this? 3/4 of the board? 3/4 of the board right now. In addition to 9 captures, and then these dead stones would also count as captures. So that's a little perhaps overwhelming. I didn't mean to be overwhelming. But from a high level, that's what you tend to look at when you're trying to understand the balance of the board. Remus may be able to defend these by himself, and that could give him some territory here. But the balance is pretty unbalanced, I might say. I don't mean to bully. I just mean to explain. I hope it doesn't sound too bad. Of course, there's the possibility that he can do something down here, because I don't have 2 eyes yet and everything's very loose. So it's possible he can make some comebacks. But based on the current board state, one might predict a certain outcome, basically. Actually, when you play this game on this server, I noticed they have some analysis stuff that tells you the balance of the game, the percentage likelihood of one player or the other winning based on the board state, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. I want Mama Null to be proud of me too. Don't worry, Ryder. I'm already proud of you. I'm already proud of you. It's Scrabble all over again. It's unfair though, because these are games that Go is a game that I've played before, right? This is Remus's first time, so actually his performance is very good. It's very good. It makes me worried that with a little bit of practice, I'm gonna need to really be wary of this threat. My heart. Oh. I see the happy face, so I guess that's a good my heart. That's good. That's good. Alright, Remus. I see you taking some time here. I see you taking some time. Oh, there we go. There's the move. Alright. So Remus is protecting this territory and maybe just not very aggressively, just a little bit, pushing out this way, trying to expand just a little bit. That's not a bad move, not a bad move. In which case, what would I like to do? What would I like to do? I've played chess a bit, so I'm used to having to think like this. That makes sense, that makes sense. You could say one more relation between Go and chess is that both are strategy games where it's a one-on-one strategy game where you're really trying to figure out as far into the future as you can, like predicting the other player and how to move and like trying to position yourself, that sort of thing. So yeah, it is kind of a similar way of thinking, I would agree. That makes sense, that makes sense. Alright, well if you go there, I don't want you getting too close. So maybe I'll defend here. Defend and maybe mildly attack. Mildly threaten these 2 pieces here. Yeah. It's interesting also when you're playing a game against someone, because when you're playing in real time, you can kind of feel how long they're taking to play, right? I think that contributes to the flow of the game and the feeling of the game. It's nice to play with real people. They have robots also, They have robots you can play Go against. And you can set them to different difficulties, which is really cool. But I like playing against real people the most. So I would say... Oh. Invader. An invader is coming. An invader is coming. Okay, I'm gonna say no. You cannot. At the very least, I'm gonna cut you off from your friends. You're gonna be all alone. Makes you easier to attack. This sort of cutting off to prevent them from forming like longer, bigger structures is a strategy. Yeah, because when a piece is all by itself, it's a lot weaker. Oh, I see. Still trying to connect here, huh? Well, what if I do this? Yeah. Now what? Now what you gonna do? Oh, interesting. Let's see. If you go there, and then I go... What if I go here? Yeah. I'ma keep you surrounded. I'm not gonna let you get any air. No air. See, this is dangerous. If they link up, this piece that I definitely could have captured before starts to be threatened. I can't have that. I'm gonna take it. And in taking it, I threaten this structure here. We're seeing a new side of Nal today. No. I am a peaceful monkey. Yes. Oh no, you can't do that. Look at that. He's threatening F1 now, right? He sees that as an opportunity. If he goes here, he can take F1. But no, I'm not going to let you do that. I'm going to do this. Submit. Oh. You hear that? That satisfying sound of all those pieces being captured? Oh. You're still going for it. Still got some fight left in you. This is an interesting move, actually. Because he's trying to take advantage of the fact that these are very loosely grouped, and it's starting to make me feel like he's trying to gain some territory right here. That's dangerous. That's something he might actually be able to defend if I'm not careful. It's starting to make these possibly dead pieces start to feel a little threatening. So I can't have that. Obviously, I can't have that. Peaceful until challenged in Go. It's still peaceful. It's just a game. Alright. So I have... You might say that in this case, I have two possibilities. Two sort of possible strategies. One is defend. He's threatening this piece, but if I go here, I can defend and attach it to this whole structure here, which is well protected. Well protected. And by doing so, I attach it to this structure and give this structure two real eyes, not false eyes, but real eyes. Which is pretty good. It means that anything that gets attached to this structure in the future will also be protected. On the other hand, I don't want him getting any territory here, because even if I protect myself, if he gains territory here, then I end up only having territory here, and I don't want that. I want all my territories. Uncontested victory. So what can I do instead? Instead, I can try to prevent him from catching territory down here. One way is I can do this. I can take G1 and kind of just come around here, because the likelihood of him forming two eyes is, it's actually possible down here to form two eyes. And so the problem is if I go here, he still has that chance of forming two eyes. So actually, sometimes the correct move is to allow for some amount of possible sacrifice in order to strengthen yourself for later. So if I want to prevent two eyes in a careful manner, I think the thing to do is probably to go here. Let's try that. Let's go here. I'm not thinking too far into the future here, so I'm not sure that's the optimal move. If this was a puzzle, it might be wrong, but I think it might work. We'll see how it plays out. Oh, I see. It's an interesting move there. Trying to maybe defend and strengthen the territory. Unfortunately, I have enough things here where I can capture pieces that I think I can make the threat go away. If I go here, I think the possibility of creating two eyes is reduced to practically zero. Yes, let's do that. I'm gonna contact an oracle before I play, but contract an oracle. Get the spirits on your side. Now I'm feeling pretty confident, I think. I'm feeling pretty confident. I think at this point, my biggest concern is to how you say, strengthen my borders, because I'm starting to feel like these invaders, I don't have to worry about them anymore. Yeah, that's my feeling. But we'll see what Remus does. We'll see. This music's kind of nice. Oh, interesting. Are you trying to take that piece there? Oh, I see. By taking that piece, you might almost stay alive. Almost. But I would venture to say that even if you took that piece, I would still be able to take your forces. He might almost stay alive. Almost. Just doing some quick running through some possibilities here. I think I'm convinced that I don't need to worry about that. And perhaps to demonstrate that, I will go here. I don't necessarily have to, because it does sort of limit my own territory when I'm filling in, but since this is part teaching game, I would like to show why I think I could probably ignore these pieces. Yeah. Sounding like Monica, isn't she? No. No, it's only a game. That's what Monica says, though, isn't it? No. Don't worry. We are a peaceful club. I'm back. My phone dies and takes so long to charge. Oh no! Oh, welcome back, Kimma. Welcome back. She does. Those are all things Monica would say. Oh no! Oh, I just saw the time. I think we might have just enough time to finish up this game if I keep my commentary to a minimum. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna try to do that real quick. And hopefully we can play again. Hopefully you all found this fun and we can play again. I guess Ryder gets dibs next time on first game because because Ryder was second in line today. Don't let me forget. Okay. Alright. Let's just play this. Oh, I see. Trying to threaten, huh? What if I do this? Ha. Yay, I'll practice. Sounds good. Good luck, Ryder. Good luck. Alright. I'm gonna be a little aggressive. I wanna see how much of Remus's territory I can take. Be a little aggressive. Remus said he is a masochist after all, so I'm gonna take that to heart. Thank you, I will avenge you. We'll see about that. I'm going to go here. Yeah. Can we make this an overwhelming victory? Not bad. Okay, I will go here. Oh, dangerous. You filled in one of your own breathing spaces here, actually, which means I can go here. Now accepts all challengers, it seems. That's right. So 18-0 captures isn't overwhelming yet. We're going for absolute control. Complete board control. There's still time for a turnabout, I think. Maybe. Oh, he took a piece. Oh, we can't have that. Would you look at that? Now here's where I will say, this is why I think these pieces are dead. He took that one piece. I just want one capture. Fair. He took that one piece. But then I can do this. Oh. Alright. I say, as much as I hate time limits, I do have limited time. So let's say in the next 5 minutes. In the next 5 minutes, let's try to end this game. If that's alright with you, Remus. Okay. Alright. Full on bully mode now. No more explanations. I'm going for it. Speedrun. Speedrun the end of this game. Wait, so the captures you made stay as points regardless if you keep them or not. So captures are automatically points. Captures are automatically points that you can think of them as either adding to your territory, because each piece of territory that you enclose is a point. You can think of it as adding to your territory or subtracting from your opponent's territory. Either way is the same. It's time for maximum Monki. That's right. I'm buying you time. We must strike now. You are buying time. Hold on. Can't have that. Yes. Let's go full on. Let's go. Take these. Yeah. Honestly, at this point in time, it would be a good time for me to pass, because I don't gain too much from taking pieces sometimes. If you, for example, if you think about it this way, if you put down one piece in your own territory in order to capture one piece, it's basically an equal trade for points at the end of the game. But if you can take more than one piece with a single piece, then, or it depends how many pieces you have to put down to capture, right? So, we could conceivably end the game here, but since this is your first game for a lot of you, I think it might be helpful to understand this concept of dead pieces a little better, because when someone tells you a group is dead, it can be easy to say like, what? No, I don't think so. So seeing it played out and seeing why they're dead, why they probably would not survive, can be helpful. I have the full Exodia. I win. You have Exodia. So that one capture Remus has is the top right corner then. Oh, no, the capture is when he took one of my pieces right here, I think. The one capture is that. This is the one thing you might consider territory, but I consider it dead pieces, and in fact I can show you why it's dead. It's dead because it's basically indefensible. Basically, I can do this, and voila, it is gone. So that's why when you're counting up territory in the end, you might just say, well, that didn't stand a chance in the first place. You basically just let it stay on the board rather than putting down a piece. That's kind of why. Same for these guys. Pretty sure these guys aren't gonna live. And I could do a couple of things to demonstrate that. So it looks like he's trying to maybe capture some of these pieces here. But I could just say do this. If I did this, then there's no longer any way for him to capture these pieces. Yeah, but I can still capture him by going here. Oh, I'm explaining things again. I meant to not explain things. Yes. Okay, alright. Actually, maybe I will leave a couple of pieces on the board. Maybe I'll leave a couple pieces on the board to show you how scoring works. That might be a good idea, actually. Yes. Okay. Alright. Okay, well, if you're gonna threaten me, I have to take it, right? I have to take it. Can't let that happen. At this point, it's best not to anger her, Remus. No angry, just playing game. Just pretend you want peace and let her get her guard down. Wait, that's sneaky. That's isn't that like a war crime? To pretend you want peace and then attack? Oh, and looking at the time, we probably need to end this. Soon. Sorry, someone called me. Oh, no problem. That's alright. Okay, but I think we need to end this soon, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass. And if you're ready to end the game, then you can pass too. Do you want me to go ahead and resign? I think it's okay if you just pass now, and I will go through the scoring of the game.
Remove the dead stones.
Okay. Oh, I see. So it kind of... The game itself seems to have decided which stones are dead. Except removed stones. So the game decided that these black stones here are unlikely to be... how you say... livable, you can actually contest and say no, these were alive, and change what the game determined. But as you can see, the game thinks that these stones, basically I could capture them if I wanted to, and they're not posing a threat, so they're dead. That's basically how you mark dead stones in online. I can teach about how to mark them or how you deal with them in person, because that's actually really fun. But it's a little harder to teach, so we're gonna go with this for now. Yeah, so you can click that and say like, oh, this is what you think is alive. On both sides, you can kind of contest. Or I can even click this and say, oh, that's dead. You see, if that's dead, then my entire structure is dead. And basically, both players need to agree which stones are alive and which stones are dead. So, unfortunately, this I believe is the case. I believe that I may have exerted total board control. And so I think this is how I accept this configuration. I say accept remove stones. I accept this one. And Remus can either contest it by saying, oh no, clicking on some things and saying, no, this isn't right. Or he can also choose to accept. And that is how the game will be scored. As expected of the Grandmaster. It's not Grandmaster.
You have won.
Oh, alright. So Remus agreed. And this site is cool because you can kind of scroll back through the game here and see the different moves that were played. And it tells you, it does some analysis on what's going on. But yeah, I can't go through that right now. But I think this game will be saved to my profile, so y'all can look at that, or you can play your own games, or all sorts of things. But anyhow, that is how we are. Oh, someone was in chat. Hello, MTS Rider. Hello, Rita. What's happening? Alright, well, I gotta go though. So, thank you so much for the game, Remus. This was a lot of fun. I hope you had fun too. And I hope this was a good learning experience for everyone, and everyone had fun, and everyone wants to play with me now. Everyone wants to play with me now, right? And remember, we started this game without a handicap, which meant it was unbalanced from the very beginning. And then Remus told me to be a bully, so I bully a little bit. But with the proper setup, we could probably have a balanced game. So yes, alright. But yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Remus, especially for playing against me, and everyone else, of course, for being here. And yes, I hope we can do this again. I hope this was fun. That was a fun game, thanks. I'm glad you had fun. Oh, hello, Accelerator. Rita lives on. I'll practice so we can play one of these days. Sounds good. This was a fun stream. Take care now. I miss you. You take care too. Take care, everyone. I had a lot of fun. Alright. I better sign off because I'm already way over time. Alright. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.